Julie, thank you. Well, hundreds of thousands of active duty military members and veterans struggle each and every day with invisible wounds of war. Getting them the help and assistance they need is the focus of a discussion later this morning at the Press Club in downtown Washington. For more on that, we're joined this morning by two members of the House Veterans Affairs Committee. Representative Phil Rowe of Tennessee is the founding member of the Congressional Invisible Wounds Caucus. Thanks for joining us this morning.
Thanks,
we appreciate it. And Representative Tim Walz of Minnesota is also a member of that caucus. Welcome to the show.
Thanks for having us.
We're happy both of you are here. You have a busy day. You are headed to the Press Club. What's the message today when you get there at this free event open to everyone?
Well, Allison, I think the message that Tim and I are trying to convey out there is that we have a real issue, and I recognize this, and Congressman Walz did too. He is a veteran, I'm a veteran. I'm a Vietnam era veteran, and I know how our veterans were treated at the end of Vietnam. It was really shameful what happened, and we recognize that last year we lost more active duty military to suicide than we did in combat. It's unbelievable. So as members of the, I guess 3 years ago, I formed the Invisible Wounds Caucus to bring, people to look at this and understand this issue. And Tim co-chairs this with me. We have a Republican and a Democrat.
I was going to say, is this a bipartisan issue here? It's not political. It's about our servicemen and women.
It's about our servicemen and women and people that have given all for this country. And to see the loss through a suicide that could be saved. It's one thing to die in combat. It's quite another to take your life by your own hands. So that's why we did this, and we appreciate very much you having us on to bring this awareness to the community.
Most definitely. I want to really pass along this really sobering statistic. USA Today basically put out this article. It says that they estimate 851,000 veterans are waiting for medical services that they need. This too is shameful, in my opinion.
It is.
And we don't share our opinions often, but I think we can all agree on this.
It is, and I said Dr. Rowe brings medical expertise and as a veteran of trying to do this, and I think what he pointed out was that these wounds are only invisible because we're not looking for the right place. We're not identifying them, of bringing early screening, pre-screening, making sure these veterans have the care. What ends up happening with a lot of these folks is they end up leaving the service, Department of Defense, and they kind of fall off a cliff, and then we spend years trying to recruit them back, get them back to the VA, get them care, get them what they need. And in many cases, these are rural areas, rural Tennessee, rural Minnesota, and you have folks that might not have access to mental health counselors that are there. So I think this panel discussion, the Volunteers for America, great companies like Home Depot, going forward to say we can do better than this. It's not for lack of desire of the American public. They want this done, but I think an interesting thing too, Allison, there's 40,000 nonprofits out there in America to serve veterans. The problem is coordination. The problem is identification. The problem is getting them in the system and then getting this whole continuum of care, because the breakthroughs, I think Dr. Rowe mentioned something. He said during our training, we never heard the word suicide. I think through technology, through better medicine, through mental health parity awareness, that the public especially understands now that these wounds are every bit as significant.
And let's talk about this invisible wounds. What are we talking about here?
Well, we're talking about PTSD and traumatic brain injury. Congressman Walz and I, about a year and a half ago, made our second trip to Afghanistan. We actually wanted to go into the forward operating bases there and to see what the soldiers, in other words, what they were actually enduring, so we could watch an injury, both invisible and visible wounds, and follow the treatment of that all the way back from a forward surgical hospital and so on. And there, the military is very aware. I've got to give them credit. If you're within 50 meters of a blast now, and we know that multiple concussive injuries, and those studies have been done in NFL football players, they have more depression. We know depression is one of the things that leads to a higher incidence of suicide. So we went to the battlefield. They use telemedicine there. If you're within 50 meters of a blast, they take you offline for a certain length of time. So the military is very aware of it. But you have also, look at the guardsmen that have served, and when they come back home, they don't come back to a base. They go back home. And so we kind of lose them. And that's one of the factors that we've got to work on.
We want to show everybody the information about today. today's event because, again, the public can attend, right?
Correct.
And it is a free event. This is from 9 this morning. You are going directly from here there, so we really do appreciate it. 9 to 11 today, National Press Club, 13th floor. Again, free and open to the public. And, you know, of course, our time is way too short. We could talk all morning about this. But let me just say the final word here. The caucus is trying to do what for our returning men and women?
Raise awareness of the issues so that the public knows, and then advocate for treatment for those veterans you're talking about. Advocate using, I represent home of the Mayo Clinic, of using those private resources along with the VA's research to bring this new cutting-edge technology. So it's not just enough to keep these folks alive. We can return them as close to as their normal lives as possible, and that's our goal.
And that is a beautiful thing. So thank you so much. May I call you Dr. Representative?
You can.
Thank you. And thank you so much for with us today. Good luck to you in this very important mission. We'll be right back.